first introduce,
Yes, sir.
Nilesh.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Shan sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special session on the Unacademy YouTube channel by our Yeshas educators and our students who have attended our batches. This today's session is about talking to the toppers and students who have managed to crack the May 22 intermediate examination in their first attempt, and of course both the groups. Welcome to Ravi Kanth sir, Shandar Ahmed sir from the Yeshas team, and most importantly a very warm welcome to Deepak, Shruti and Kabir for clearing your examination in the first attempt. Hearty congratulations for the same. Let me introduce myself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Nilesh Sharma from Yeshas Academy, and Ravi Kanth sir, would you like to ask some questions to the students? Today's entire objective for today's session is that we ask the students as to how was their experience, what they did right, what as per them they did wrong, and what advice they would like to give to their juniors or other peers as to how they can crack the November 22 or exams going ahead.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to all.
Thank you, sir.
Seriously, very happy with your success. And the marks, that's speaking a lot, seriously. 81 marks in accountancy group 1 and accountancy group 2 and 75 marks in casting. And seriously, it's awesome marks. It's not that easy. And again, so it's whatever we are talking is obviously for the purpose of viewers. And your preparation, what is the style of preparation, where you focused? If you little elaborate to them, they can take some plus points in it. Let them. You can start with Kabir.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. So hi guys. I'm Kabir, as I've already been introduced. So first off, I'd like to sort of talk about how our preparation started. So our foundation exams were actually delayed by 2 months, and it were held in the last week of July. So automatically our preparation time was actually reduced by 2 months compared to any other attempt. And so after the foundation exam started, the early bird batch started on 9th August or something. I'm not sure about the dates, but at that time, it was just a week since my foundation exams got over. And but I wanted to start early, and that's why I joined the early bird batch. When you compare it with the regular batch that started, I think 1 month later on, the time available was barely 6-7 months, at that point of time. So I think that is one thing that really helped me a lot. And second thing is that no matter, everyone says that you have to study daily, right? For CA, you have to, no matter what. And very honestly, that is true. Even if I wasn't able to cover anything new, what I would make sure is that very day I would revise everything that was done in class. Even if, I stay up till 2 o'clock in the night, I have a class at 6 in the morning, I would make sure that I revise what was done that day in class. And the third thing I'd like to talk about, and perhaps one of the most important things, is sticking to one set of materials. Especially a few months before the exam, you'll see people, from all ends saying, take this material, take this paper, solve this book, and etc. But unless you stick to one material, you'll not have the clarity of concepts, because every teacher has a different way of teaching, and no teacher is wrong in their way. But it depends on what clicks for you. And that, for me, what clicked is the way my teachers taught me. And that is what I did. I just stuck to the material that was provided to me by Yeshas. And apart from that, just the RTPs and the MTPs and nothing else.
That's a fantastic point you make, Kabir. I would like to highlight this point for all the students, that the students who wrote the May examination actually did have the least amount of time gap between the foundation examination and May exams. That has kind of reflected why you are all in the top 5% and why this time the passing percentage is slightly less, because overall, of course, all over the country students got lesser time compared to the regular batches where they get at least 8 clear months from their foundation exam to the May exam. So hearty congratulations to Kabir, Deepak and Shruti and all the other students who are not on the panel today all over the country who have cleared this examination, especially both the groups and also students who have cleared one group. It is not a small achievement because you all are in the top 5%. Less than 1,300 students have cleared CA Intermediate this time, and you all have done it in the first attempt. In itself is a big achievement. Kabir, one question I had for you was, could you also mention what was your score in the examination for the students who are watching this?
So I can't hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Kabir, could you please tell the students as to what was your score in the examination?
Sorry?
What was your score in the examination?
In the examination, so I got 520 out of 800. In group 1, I got 296, and group 2 was slightly lesser. I got 224 in group 2.
Fantastic. Very well done, Kabir.
And one point I would like to emphasize what he told exactly. I mean, nowadays, like in the Telegram channels or some other way, I mean, people are getting a lot of notes from like this teacher note, that teacher notes, and availability of different notes is there. But you should trust to one and you should stick to till the end to that one material. If you get into so many see, one teacher, my material is there. I'm good at, let's say, 90%. Maybe 10%, maybe other teacher will be good. If you try to, I want to read this book, I want to read that book, and then it will be, obviously will make it a mess, and that leads to, dangerous situation toward the end. That, seriously, I like that point, exactly, which is very much necessary at this minute to all the students.
And moreover, sir, every student has a, different way of preparing. So what material suits them is going to suit the other student is not a guarantee. Correct. So reading too much thing doesn't give you the right information. In fact, it will lead to information overload. That's why I suggest that read the same material again and again. And I always say that the best way to revise for any competitive examination, if it's an objective paper, you just keep solving the MCQ. It's over, solve it again, resolve it again. It's a subjective paper, keep writing answers. Make it a habit of writing answers every day, at least 2-3 answers. And you do it consistently. It's all a matter of consistency. You don't require too much of an IQ to clear a competitive, but the determination, perseverance will have to be there. So if you keep doing the same thing repeatedly, you will clear it. But that's the most difficult part for many of the students.
Yes, that self-control is very important.
They will try to do whatever others are doing, and they will have a self-doubt that yes, maybe that is right, and those materials are way better made than compared to my material, and lots of noise in the market. So that's what I would say. I always suggest to my students as well: stick to one class note, stick to the one faculty. Every faculty is good in its own way. But the thing is, if you have undergone the training through one faculty and read the material of other faculty, that's where all the confusions will happen.
Exactly, sir.
Deepak,
and
introduce.
Let's listen from Deepak.
Your score as well in the exam, and then how was your experience as your journey as to how you managed to clear the examination?
Right. Unlike Kabir, I think I started a little bit late. So I did revise during the classes, but not as much as you're supposed to. So I think once the dates were out for the exam, there were about 4 months left. That's when I actually started preparing well. I made sure that I had a mix of both theory and practical subjects, because I know that I can't concentrate for long in theory subjects. So I made a timetable with 2 subjects per month initially, but I then realized that is actually a lot of time for a subject, and I won't have time for revision. So I think by April I was done with all of the syllabus. Okay. And then I started just revising whatever I felt was difficult in those months. And side by side, I was also doing MCQs for the papers which have MCQs from the ICI website or other websites. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If my preparation was consistent for those 4 months, I think that's what helped me.
That is fantastic, Deepak. So, to students who are watching this and who are not yet very confident, who have exams in November, this is inspiration for you all that Deepak started his preparation more or less in the last 4 months predominantly, and has he finished his syllabus only in April, and yet has managed to clear the examination, both the groups, in May. Deepak, could you also reiterate your score?
I scored 454, sir.
Fantastic, fantastic. And breakup of group 1 and group 2?
Not so sure. I have to look at it.
All right. And what would you like to say about how your preparation was for Ravi Kanth sir and Shan sir's papers?
Oh, for both of theirs, I think the material is amazing. Ravi Kanth sir's AS book is, I think, what helped me clear accounts. I got exemption in both my accounts paper, all thanks to sir's material. And Shan sir's economics is, I don't have to say a lot. Sir's handwritten notes is what I stuck to. I didn't have to refer anything else, so it was pretty neat for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Shruti, over to you. Could you please tell us your score and how was your journey into clearing Inter May 22?
Okay, so the score I'll tell at the end.
All right.
Okay, so firstly, I would like to thank all the teachers at Yeshas, I think, who made me love pretty much all the subjects. And one more thing about preparation is, when I decided to join this course, you told me it requires consistency. So I've been following this, and I pretty much started waking up at 4 o'clock every day and sleeping at 9:30, 10 every day. So that was my schedule. I never disturbed it. Like, as much as I could, I stuck to the same thing. And seeing all the videos on time, you know that I used to ask for the recording. So I saw all my videos on time, tried to do whatever I could do, study in that day, but not every time I could do it. And for the last few days, I followed Meeta Ma'am's strategy. So she told us that don't stick to one subject, just do 3 or 4 subjects in a day, alternate it, theory and practical. So that is what I did. And the thing, Shan sir, the way he taught economics actually clarified many of my concepts, which, I was doubtful about so many things in my 12th. So he actually clarified many of them for me. And about one more thing is, all the CA students, they ask teachers, give us some motivational speech. So that motivates us to go on and on. So what I used to do is, every teacher, some or the other day, they would have told something that would have motivated us. So I made sure I write it on the index page of my book. Oh, wow. So whenever I open it, the first thing I should see is this. And like Ravi Kanth sir said one thing, God does not bless you, He blesses your efforts. So that was stuck in my mind. So I just put how much of effort I could. And whenever I still have kept that page, so that whenever I see it, I should know, I should put efforts. God will bless only my efforts. And one more thing is, even before we started Early Bird Batch, you told us set off is very important to write both the groups. So that is what made me clear both the groups at once. I got set off because I got like 199 in group 2 and 223 in group 1. So that 1 mark was from group 1. Because I wrote both the groups together, I could clear.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Super, that is.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. This is to highlight to all the students that why it is always important. I reiterate, in every batch, all your faculties do, but this is a learning for everybody, that every mark counts. And if Shruti would have not written and she had spoken to me, I remember before the exam that, sir, I want to go for one group, and she went ahead only because she trusted us. She went ahead and wrote both the groups, and it paid off because that 1 mark made the difference. That 1 mark made the difference, and she was able to clear. So I would like this as a learning for all the students watching this. Always go for both the groups, because there is this beauty of set off. You can, every mark counts, and I guess Kabir, Deepak would agree. I know they did not require it, but how important it is to have a focus on all 8 papers at a time. and not give up at the beginning that, sir, I want to go only 4 papers, clear one at a time, at least one thing gets done. Always aim for the best. And you reiterated those beautiful words by Ravi Kanth sir, that God blesses our efforts. As long as the efforts are there, and which obviously you all have put, they will be blessed and the efforts will pay off. I would like to ask a few specific questions to Deepak, Shruti and Kabir as to subject wise. How was your preparation when it came to practical papers? What was your approach when you took practical papers? And what was your approach later when you studied theory papers? Did you solve practical papers or did you read practical papers? Because most students end up reading accounts. So what was your approach with the same? Ravi Kanth sir, would you like to add something to this? To this question?
No, as they told, I mean, all of them told that, I mean, don't go ahead with only one paper. I mean, if you're taking theory paper, I mean, theory plus practical should go side by side. Nobody can complete. I mean, I can't read a full auditing full day. I mean, obviously you'll go mad, seriously speaking. You have to look at, I mean, say 2 hours of auditing or some 3 hours of accountancy or some other practical casting, where then obviously balancing will happen. Yeah, it may be minimum 2 to 3 subjects if you handle. That's seriously good point. And which I would like to say, like consistency is that word what they used, that is seriously important at this point of time. Consistency, and you have your own targets and stick to that. Your own plan you should have and you should stick to that. That's it. Nobody can stop your success, seriously.
Right. So Shruti, would you like to tell us what was your study plan when it comes to practical papers? How did you approach them? Accounts, advanced accounts, costing, taxation, FM?
Oh, okay. So first of all, Yash's material was more than enough, because all the ICI module questions and previous past questions and basically all varieties of questions were covered in accountancy and costing. And what I did was, during the class also, costing, we used to get time to solve. And then because I saw recorded videos, so I made sure that I solve it by myself and then I check it. So that's what I did when I solved it for the first time. And then I solved it again, not advanced accounts, but costing, accounts and taxation. Most of the questions, I made sure that I solved them. And financial management, actually group 2, I was not very well prepared. So I did not solve all the questions, but a few questions from each variety I made sure that I solved. And one learning I would like to tell others is, do not wait for the last 1.5 months to start your preparation, because everything is very uncertain. Even I thought that, okay, let me start with group 1, group 2, I'll do it. And something uncertain happened, and I was disturbed for almost 1.5 months, and because of which I could not give full time to my group 2 preparation. So I would like to tell everybody, start from today. Start everything from today, whatever is possible. Do not wait for the last moment.
Fantastic. Deepak, would you like to add as to how was your approach to practical papers?
Yes, so for practical, I think I solved almost all the questions the first time. Then once I did that, I had a fair idea about which concepts I wanted to do again before the exam. Honestly, we didn't have a lot of time, so my second revision was only a few selected questions per chapter, which I thought will give me the clarity of the whole overview of the whole subject chapter at least.
Right.
So that was what I did for practical. I think theory. Not theory, but practical, I should have done more written practice. I did not do much of written practice, but if I would have, maybe it would have been better. And for theory, I think making notes is a great thing. At Yeshas, most of the teachers helped us with that. And we had written notes in class, so that I think helped a lot, because the text is very dry and too hard to comprehend it at once. So notes really help me.
And Kabir, how was your preparation strategy before I can summarize your thoughts?
So basically, coming to practical subjects first, we start, like, the first thing is that, I solved every sum, tried to solve every sum at least 2 to 3 times. especially subjects like, I mean, there are three practical subjects: accounts, costing, and FM. And accounts and costing, especially because we had ample of time, given that, we prepared for group one first. I think I solved every sum at least 3 times. Like, I probably have around 10 to 15 notebooks just full of costing, account sums. And it wasn't like, you solve the Yashas material, you go to the ICI material. Not, it was just Yashas material. Every sum, even if you solve it again, just stuck to that one material itself. And again, RTPs, MTPs, people think that just going through them is often sufficient, but like until you put pen on paper and you solve the RTPs, MTPs, I think there's no big, confidence booster like the RTPs, MTPs. And coming to theory subjects, I think for me, theories, I love, sort of like not mugging up per se, but I love having stuff memorized by heart. And I think that helped me a lot, especially in subjects like audit and law. And coming to, sort of EIS and SM is sort of, there's this one perception that that's the most difficult paper to clear in CA Inter. And for that, I'd like to especially thank Meeta Mangal ma'am, who, genuinely her notes are probably the best I've ever come across in my life. Like, I didn't open the ICM material even once. In fact, as I was about to enter the exam hall before the SM exam, I saw one other student going through the ICM material. And that is when I saw him, sort of underline those keywords. And those keywords were exactly what she had given us in the notes. And so I think subjects like SM and EIS, you need to make notes, and even EIS for that matter. So yeah, I think, I came to the institute the other day to thank her personally, but she had already left by the time. So I think she's already left to Pune now. So hopefully next time around when she comes back.
Definitely. So to summarize a few points, key takeaways when especially coming to practical subjects for everybody who's listening, that you have to be consistent, as Shruti mentioned. I always tell the students, consistency is the biggest discipline, and consistency is the biggest key to cracking our course. And if you're not consistent, then things can get difficult. Deepak has taught us that even if you start slightly late, does not mean it is impossible, because it is your efforts that will help. He finished his syllabus in April and yet was able to crack both the groups in the first attempt itself, and he didn't just make it by the whisker. 450 is also not a bad score at all, and above 80, right? Above 80 in accounts, right? Fantastic. Those are fantastic. You just need one very good paper, and it can take it away. So always have faith in your preparation. Refer the material. I think all the three have insistent, and students who have been referring to Yeshas batches, refer the material that you are using. Our Yeshas faculties have made sure that you have the best of materials. They have scanned through all the important past examination questions. Stick to the material from of the faculty that you are learning from, and have full faith in it. Definitely solve the RTPs and MTPs, as Kabir very clearly mentioned. And by solving, he did not read the RTP, MTP. That's right, Kabir. You solved it
Yes,
because
sir.
you were prepared.
Yes, solved them.
Yes,
Yes,
you
sir.
have to solve them. Don't read the question, and then after that, the end of the RTP, there is also the solution section. So if you're going to just read the question and then immediately go to the solution, then that is not going to help you. The entire objective of the RTP and why ICI releases them is so that you solve them because you're prepared, and then look back to the concepts in case you're getting stuck, because that is where it will reflect as to where your preparation stands and what has to be done leading up to the examination. Let's talk about theory a little bit. Kabir did mention about EIS and SM, that why marking notes are very, very important. But how was your approach when you studied theory? Everybody says EIS, SM, audit, law, these papers can get very dry in nature, and there is also a lot of things to remember. What did we do? Also economics, of course, when it comes to Shansar's papers. Shansar, would you like to take this question to them? How did you manage to, read them consistently? So what was your study schedule like, especially in the last 4 months? Now, if there are students writing the November examination and are looking at this, they have about 95 days left to the exams. So what is it that they should be doing, and what is it that you did in your last 95 days, especially when it came to theory, and helped you crack the exam? Shruti, would you like to start?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So economics, when Chancellor gave notes, he said it, just read it 1 page or 2 every night before you sleep, and that is it for economics. And honestly, I did not do that but the notes I made, like whatever he dictated and all, it helped me a lot. And when it comes to audit, Karthik sir, he has a very different approach to all these things. Like he makes us sing those songs, and he has very interesting stories. So once you read them, you actually recall that story and you can recall the entire answer. So what I did for audit was 1 or 2 charts from his book a day in the last days. So that helped me cover almost entire audit, like only those charts. And then lastly, you just have to go through those charts and just sing those songs and you're done with audit. And for strategic management, although we had this Yeshas textbook where Meeta ma'am had done everything, but still she made us write everything in our notes. The same thing we wrote, but when we wrote it in our books, we feel more confident that yes, we know this, and that is what happened. And she also emphasized this: in every theory paper, make sure you make those charts and graphs wherever possible, because that is what will be highlighted more than what you have written. So this is a tip for theory answers that she gave. And EIS, Mukesh sir also, I made sure that I watch his marathon video twice.
Okay.
So that I can, know all these shortcuts and remember. That's it. Sir.
Fantastic. And so, Kabir, would you like to talk about theory? Or sorry, Deepak,
Yeah.
I think Kabir has mentioned about strategic management. Deepak, if you could put your thoughts on theory papers first.
Right, sir. I am someone who's not so good at theory, so I think what worked for me was multiple revisions.
Okay.
I made sure I did not cover a huge chunk of syllabus at a go, because if I did, I'm sure I'd forget what I did in the beginning. So I took it in small parts, and when I was starting with the second part, I tried recalling the first, and when I did the third, I tried recalling first and second. So that way I'd be done with a major chunk very very quickly, and my concentration level will not be too down, because if I try doing everything I have to go, initially whatever I study might probably get in my head, and everything after that just bounces off. So yeah, notes, as Shruti said, is really vital for years as well. I think most of the lecturers had given us some chart book or some summary notes. I think that definitely helps after going through the main text ones.
Kabir, you would like to add?
Yes, sir. So one point, I'd really like to add, in my personal opinion, this is the only way, at least for me, to study theory, is cumulative revision. Like there's no one, unless you're a Mike Ross, you can't read something today and remember it, 3 or 4 months from now. And you need to keep it revising cumulatively. Even if it takes me 1 hour to revise something today that I did yesterday, it will take me only 3 to 4 minutes, 10 days from now to revise that very same thing. And that is one very, very important thing. And that is the only, that's the only reason I was able to crack the theory papers, because no one can, read something today and remember it 3 months from now. So that is the most important point. Like, apart from everything else mentioned by Deepak and Shruti, I think cumulative revision for me personally is the most important thing.
This is a very important takeaway. I would like to also reiterate the same. You make a very important point, and students who have their exams upcoming, make sure, do not try to memorize everything or learn theory because like Kabir very clearly mentioned, we can't remember the same thing 4 months later. So don't try to remember it today, but learn it today and then keep going back. And as he mentioned, the first reading could take 2 hours, and then you're doing it the second time could take only about 45 minutes. And so that leading up to the exam, you can finish chapters in time. So yes, I guess the 3 of you had this common consensus. How many questions did you actually write did you actually solve any theory? Actually practically wrote any theory, or only reading cumulative revision was sufficient?
I practiced a few questions because of Meeta ma'am only. Even in the recorded lectures, I could, she made us feel guilty for not writing and practicing. So that was the reason, especially strategic management and tax and a few questions of law I wrote and I practiced.
What about Deepak?
I did not write and practice, but I would highly recommend it, because I couldn't finish most of the papers, even the examination, because I didn't know what I should be writing and what I shouldn't. So yeah, highly recommend writing and practicing questions, so we'll know what the format is and how much to stick to.
Understood. And Kabir, did you solve any?
Oh yes, sir. So right from CA Foundation, I've sort of solved a lot of theory questions. Main thing with subjects like law and audit is there's a certain way to present the answers. And that comes about only when you practice every kind of question. No one can just, read all the questions and then sort of duplicate it in the exam in the same structure in the format. So I think that comes only with practice. So that's why even like writing for theory subjects in a course like CA is really important.
So students who are watching this, if you have any questions for these students who have cracked it, then please do go ahead and ask them in the chat box. We will be asking those questions. If you're putting them across, so I will go ahead and ask them on your behalf to them so that they can answer any queries that you had. Any further special tips from your end which you feel that your juniors should follow, which you felt that you have made these mistakes while your preparation? Any of you would like to mention anything?
I'd say at least 2 papers within 3 hours time. Timing is very important. That actually helps you get the sense of how much you can spend on one question and how much you can think for it.
Anything which Shruti or Kabir would like to add apart from minimum 2 mock tests? Basically, is what Deepak is saying. A minimum of 2 mock tests.
Yes, sir, very necessary. Written practice is very necessary. And one more thing is, when we are watching recorded sessions, we tend to deviate sometimes. So that should be avoided.
Okay, so try and attend the sessions live. Attend the sessions live is what you're trying to say. Of course, the best discipline, 5 to 6 hours a day classes is not easy when you're doing it recorded. So I would also definitely recommend students to try and watch the classes live as much as possible. And because there is in the class you have your teacher to look after you, but otherwise you're only on your own. Self-discipline is very, very difficult for a long period of time. Anything you would anybody else would like to add? That any mistakes you felt that, sir, we made this yet we managed to crack the exam?
Yes, sir, I'd like to mention something very basic. Read the question. Even though I got 81 in costing, the very first question, the most basic question, material costing, I missed out on the most basic piece of information. And I realized that as soon as I stepped out of the exam hall. And, that is because that there's this thing, you have to quickly finish it and, that time crunch. And that's why, again, when you're practicing, read the question properly. Even most importantly in the exam for that matter, read the question. Even if it takes you like 2-3 minutes extra, just read the question properly.
Got it.
Sir, I would like to add on.
Right, please.
Okay, so what Kabir said, read the question properly. One more thing is, before your exams, don't try to talk to anyone at all in the exam hall, because this happened to me during foundation. Some person came and approached me for one concept of accountancy, and I taught him very well before the exams. And what happened was, it was a 15 or a 20 mark question, I don't remember. That person did it right, but I got confused and I spoiled that question.
I understand. No last minute studies. I would also strongly recommend no student to probably at least 1 hour before the examination. I don't think you should be having your books. You should have a calm mind before entering the examination hall, and no discussion. We have to have that focus. 1:45 to 2 o'clock we have our reading time, and then 2 to 5 has to be that entire focus.
Yes, so that is one very important thing. Like, for example, when I went to the exam hall, I saw legit everyone with books in their hands.
Right.
And I felt like, what am I doing? Have I studied less and everyone is still studying, and that am I missing out on something? So that is one really important. But it helped me, sort of calm down, and it didn't let me have last minute doubts or last minute, sort of self this thing. So that is one really important thing, yeah.
And one more thing, studying is very important, but then when we need to take care of our health also. So we must make sure at least half an hour a day we have some physical activity, or we practice meditation or some basic breathing exercises every day, because ultimately it will help us calm down. That's what it will help us in our preparation also.
Very, very good point you make there, Shruti. It is very important to enjoy your studies. I hope the 3 of you and the others who have cleared, I guess you would agree that enjoying this entire process is very important. Don't look at the examination as a task. look at it as a goal and enjoy this process, and I guess it will be a lot easier to approach. And meditation or having a hobby would be very, very important, and practice that on a daily basis, which brings me to one question which a student is asking, so I'll ask it right away. Bindu asks, sir, that sir, did any of you face any time shortage during the exam in any of the papers? And if you did, how did you tackle it to make sure that you're able to pass? What were your tips for the same?
So I faced it in, I don't remember, but I faced it in a few of the papers. So I made sure that whatever questions I know properly, I attend them first, and wherever I'm having doubt, I keep them to the last. And in that also, I would have categorized, yeah, this I don't know at all, and I know a few things. So I made sure whatever I could write, I just finished it. But started with the one I'm sure with, like completely I can do that question.
Bindu, I hope that helps. Kabir or Deepak, would you like to add to the same? Did you face any shortages during the examination? How was taxation? I know this time taxation was a fairly tricky paper. So how did you all crack taxation this time?
So managed to pass exactly 40, sir.
What about you, Kabir, and what about you, Deepak?
I for tax, yeah, the first question everyone knows, the 14 marker. I kept it for the last, and and I first did the GST. So always in GST, the first question is on ITC, and if you've sort of solved the last 4 or 5 papers, that's a sure shot 8 marks for you, and that gives you that confidence as well to move on. So leave that, because no one will get 14 on 14 in that big question. Leave that for the end. Just do as much as you can of it, and the rest will take care of itself.
Fantastic. And how much did you score in tax?
So I got 62.
Fantastic.
And actually, general suggestion, you shouldn't try that 16 marks or 14 marks at the beginning.
Yes.
Not at all suggestible. You have to, see, where you are very confident, other than 16 marks, those things, if you attempt, that will boost up your confidence and time management. Obviously, see, once you just pocket your 50 marks, first you pocket it. Then you can do research and development on the rest of the questions. Okay, but you shouldn't do, first only if you start with 16 marks, and many times what happens, I have heard from many people, like they will struck like 30, not more than 30 minutes, like 45 minutes and all they'll struck. And if you see the time, like 45 minutes over, but not even one question clear, then automatically tension, it reaches a peak level, that's it. You are done with it. That's very dangerous.
Ravi sir, Kusuma is asking that she couldn't clear this time, unfortunately, and it was because of her time management issue, especially in the accounts paper, and she panicked. Any tips for her as to how she should go about? And any of you, how did you manage your time, especially if this time's accounts paper, when you saw that it was not the most difficult of paper, but how to ensure that you're able to finish the entire 100 marks in those 3 hours? What was your approach? Yes, sir.
I think there are a few questions which you could, which we knew that were pretty easy and simple. So I think I went on for those questions at the beginning. I made sure I saved up enough time for the questions I had some doubts in, and for those which I had doubts in, I kept it for the end. And I didn't have to solve the entire paper as such. I actually did not solve for 100 marks because I didn't have writing practice prior to the exam. But so I made sure I got I attempted maximum marks by doing what I was good at first, and then whatever I didn't know, I tried doing.
Yeah, at the same time, see, generally accountancy first paper, and first time you're writing maybe professional examination, if not through foundation, and that panic, that's normal. But you have to, you have to manage that. That is one thing. Next, when it comes to accountancy, especially accountancy or any practical subject, you should have a practice, which is like, generally most of the students, what they do, they do audit my answer, whether Ravi Kanth sir did correct or not. Okay, that will not add any value to you. Instead of auditing our answer, if you take a rough paper and if you start solving it, And as you people actually told, like mock test especially, that mock test is basically not for your marks purpose. It is to know, I mean, one should know that where you are weak or where you are, where I'm taking a lot of time, then accordingly you can manage in the main examination. Irrespective of the number of marks you got in mock, irrespective of the marks you attempted, seriously, that is not for the purpose of marks purpose, just to know, I mean, where you are good, where you are weak. That seriously, that writing mock test Kusuma, that I think that will be very much helpful to you, seriously speaking.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you so much.
So, and one thing I'd like to add on that
please.
Is that, like, this point has been mentioned many times: stick to one material. And for me personally, for this exam itself, I can recall 2 questions which were cut, copy, paste from the Yeshas material. Like, and when you practice those questions, it takes you less than 2 to 3 minutes to replicate. For example, AS2, the inventory, there was one sum in Sir's book from 2008 paper, and that exact sum came in this year's paper. And it took me less than 2 minutes to solve that question. So those things will really help you. Like, if you're familiar, it's difficult to be familiar with the questions when it can come from anywhere in the world. But like, if you solve the material, like, trust me, there'll be at least 2 to 3 questions every year I've noticed which are cut, copy, paste from the material.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
It is not the case where all questions are absolute new questions in the examination. So sticking to the same material, revising it multiple times, and being thorough with your study material definitely helps. Even one question which is similar, which you have done before, will help you with those 5 minutes saved, could help you with a question which is new where you require that more time. So that is absolutely true, and that is definitely very important advice for students who are going to take up the examination going ahead. I would like to summarize very few important points which Deepak, Kabir, Shan sir, Ravi Kanth sir and Shruti have made today. Point number 1 is your discipline, that be consistent. Point number 2 is that if you have not yet started, it is still possible to do both the groups, so do not give up. Point number 3 is that you must write and practice. Reading is not going to be sufficient. Point number 4 is you have to do mock tests. You have to time yourself. I know Deepak did not get the time, but not everybody is going to be able to make it to the examination, because if you do not know how, you might know the correct answer, but if you're taking more time than required, then like Ravi Kanth sir very clearly mentioned, that if you have spent 45 minutes on your first question, then you will panic. If whether you got it right or wrong, you will panic because you will not be able to complete the paper, and that will ruin your examination going ahead. So that is another very important point. One more point I would like to state to everybody, I didn't discuss with any of you, is that one of the papers is always going to be tough in your examinations. One, like in this case, it was definitely taxation in group 1. Which was the more difficult paper in group 2, if any of you would like to mention? The more tricky paper in group 2?
So for me personally, it was audit.
Shruti and Deepak, which was the more tricky paper in group 2?
I found group 2 easier.
Okay. So, but audit this time was fairly tricky, right? So one paper is always going to be tricky in the examination. All we have to do is that if we do the other papers well, and the tricky paper could be the first paper or it could be the last paper, we have to make sure that how we are clearing the examination and take the approach which the students who have cleared have very clearly mentioned. They have all not gone for chronological order, but have gone for the questions in the order in which they were very sure of. Their presentation very clearly mentioned that their best answers came first, so which took lesser time, and then they had more time. They didn't have time to panic in those questions where they found it slightly tricky. They left it to the end and then attempted them to make sure that the worst case scenario is at least they are passing the examination. That is another key takeaway I would like to tell to all the students looking at this. Any other advice? The session has gone on for almost 45 minutes now, so we would like to wind it up in another 5 to 10 minutes. Any other advice any of you, sir, Shan sir, would you like to give to these students before I can give a small word to these students who are cleared? Sir, you're on mute.
I always say that any competitive examination is a process of rejection rather than a process of selection. So you have to do something that others can't do, and the only recipe recipe for being a successful, participant in any kind of, whether it's a game, whether it's a test, or whatever it is consistency and perseverance. You cannot postpone your preparation. Sometimes we get, very frequently, see right now what is happening. I'm sitting with the foundation student, that examination has been postponed in December. Hurrah, very nice. Ek mahina aur milega. In fact, that acts as a counterproductive for many of the students, because they say that Delhi abhi dur hai. All right. And when and they start wasting time in that euphoria. So for some students, 1 extra month is also not enough, and it acts as a counterproductive thing that happens to them. But for other students, even if you take away 1 month, but if they are serious in their preparation, they will wind up their entire syllabus 1 month before the examination. So what is that tomorrow never comes, you have to start from today. Consistency, perseverance, time management, these are the most important things for being successful. Read, revise, write. That's what you have to do. Just, horses, when you see, when they're running, they have their side locks on both of their eyes. What is the reason for that? To cut down the noise, they cannot see anything to the side. They can only see straight. You have to run like a horse and, cut down all the noises. So you can't look right, can't look left, and, just run straight towards your goal. That's what is needed. So start from today. It's never too late if you're starting from today. If you're going to start from tomorrow, it will always be late. That's what I want to say.
Any ending note from you, sir? Ravi, sir?
Yeah, more or less, whatever Shan sir told, that consistency is something crucial. And one more thing, have confidence in you. Right, that confidence will come with effort. See, if you continuously read it for 1 week, continuous study, if you do it, automatically it boosts up. Don't expect that, all of a sudden confidence will come, all of a sudden I start reading one day, entire accountancy I'll complete. This is all theoretical. It will never be practical in life. So, and again, where you are, see, if you feel like this so-and-so chapter is easy for me. Yeah, please start with that small and easy chapter. And so that if you, complete it, then some confidence level. Then you try which way you can boost your confidence. That's all. Just be stick to that plan. Have confidence and pray God after your work, and then 100% it will be successful. Even I wrote, when I wrote both the groups of CA Inter, I also cleared. I thought actually group 1 I'll get more marks and group 2 I'll get less marks. But it happened ulta exactly. I got 4 marks less in group 1 and extra marks in some 8 marks. 8 marks extra I got it in group 2. That in set off only I cleared. From the beginning itself, my suggestion, you write it, target the both. That's always helpful. Yeah, not just only always from the beginning only you wanted to try only 4 and you wanted to enjoy. That will never do. Right. Anyhow, wish you all the very best, my dear guys. And for your CA final, would like to see you very soon in the CA final classes.
Yes, sir.
And whoever is, who have completed and couldn't clear, just don't worry. Past is past. Just focus on the future. You have plenty of, a number of days available. Just confidently start opening books. Forget the past and just move on. And it will be super successful, obviously, for all of you.
Yes, and for those students who have not made it, one thing, remember that you don't fail unless you give up. That's it. It's simply a temporary setback. You have not failed. You will fail the day when you give up. So unless the day you give up, you have not failed.
So true, sir. One very important question, sir, I have missed asking all the 3 of them as to when you had opened the website when the results are being announced. How confident were you of clearing the examination? And what was the feeling like when you saw those words pass on both the groups?
Yahoo!
Shruti, would you like to start?
Obviously.
What was the feeling like?
So actually, when results came out, I was writing my BCom exams. So as soon as I came out of the exam hall, I'm seeing so many of them texting result kya hua, but I did not dare to open the text because I wanted to see my result with my family. So I rushed home, and then everything was ready. I just had to click that submit button. So as soon as I clicked that button, I saw this thing pass, and I was dumb for a few moments, and then I cried more than being happy.
You'll remember this throughout life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's
Remember that passing
one
moment,
level
we
experience.
will
That's
all
it.
remember. Deepak, how was it for you?
For me, when the results were out, I was in ITT. So I was with 50 other students who were checking their results in the same classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, the hard part was typing in all the CAPTCHA and your roll number. My hands were shivering. And even after seeing the results, I think my hands didn't stop shivering for another half an hour or so until I called my parents and told them. And yeah, it was pretty much chill after that.
Fantastic. And Kabir, how about you?
So for me, actually, my dad is also a chartered accountant. So he was, he's very keen on everything that's going on around my preparation. So he checked the results and he called me and I understood that the results are out. So I didn't pick up intentionally and I checked it myself first. And even my hands were shivering. And then eventually I called him back and, then yeah.
Fantastic. A hearty congratulations to you all. Very, very well deserved. And yes, that moment, this moment which you faced, right? You all are going to remember for the rest of the lives. We all have to just ensure we repeat this very soon at CA final, and then see you all as qualified chartered accountants. Wishing the same to everybody who has cleared this time. And the tips, I hope today's session has been helpful to you all. From the students who have cleared, including from me, Ravi Kanth sir, Shan sir, and all the faculty members at Yeshas and at Unacademy, that go ahead, use these tips. You have any queries, you can always put them across in the Telegram groups or on the batches. Students who couldn't make it this time or are looking to revise, we are also coming up with a fast track batch starting on 4th of August, and we have a webinar on the same tomorrow at 8 p.m. So if you would like to know more about the same, log in back tomorrow at 8 p.m. and we'll be discussing details about the fast track batch in case you need help with your concepts. Thank you all, everybody, and if any of you can come and meet us at the center as well, definitely come and meet us at person. Deepak, I have already met you. Shruti and Kavi, looking forward, and all the other students who have cleared.
Yes.
I would like to meet you all in person, including all the faculty members. Thank you so much and wish you all the very best for your future. Wishing the same.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Keep
you.
fighting.
Thank you and wish you the best, my dear.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.